Greetings and welcome to Any Questions? This week, once again, I've had the same question asked of me in a variety of different ways and by people in a variety of circumstances. The best way to sum it up would be, I've done everything I need to do. Everything's in place. I've got all the tools I need, and I know that I'm capable of doing what I need to do. Why is it that it's just not happening? What is in the way? Why am I not able to accomplish what I want to accomplish? And again, this has come from people in a variety of different circumstances in their lives. It will come as no surprise to many of you that the first thing I'm going to say is that this is a time to sit still and go inward. We have learned, a lot of us, that it's the way adults treat us and the things they say about us, the things that they do to us, in particular our parents, that determines how we end up later in life. But actually, perhaps even more important is how our parents treat each other and themselves. Our parents are our caretakers. And so we spend from 0 to 5, 0 to 7 years old, very, very carefully observing our parents and taking their models inside us. And in extremely precise ways, we take what we perceive them to be as models for later on in our lives. We take the parent who is the most feminine in nature into our left side, and the parent most masculine in nature into our right side. And when we're looking at the body and doing diagnosis in Oriental medicine, it's really very, very clear the division of one side being mom and one side being dad. When we hurt one side of our body all the time, for example, it has to do with needing to pay attention to what we learned from the parent that side is imprinted with. I say the parent who is the most feminine and the most masculine because it's not always the mother who's the most feminine and the father who's the most masculine energetically. And so we take our parents' models inside us, and then later on, when we hit puberty and become gendered, usually, we decide whether we really want to imitate that particular parent or not, the one that is of our gender. What we actually do at the age of puberty is we choose the parent who is the most powerful in our definition of power at the time, and that's the parent that we will imitate. So take a few minutes just to think about that and about not only which parent you chose to imitate at that time in your life, but also about your definition of power. Sometimes it can be just the power to leave, or it can be physical or intellectual, financial power, moral power. So we are programmed with our parents' models. And the thing is that very few of us really think about our parents as being anything other than mom and dad. When people come to see me, I ask them to recount for me the story of their parents before they were mothers and fathers, because that is who we see. We project on them, of course, the deified role of mom and dad, but they are above all people, and it is who they are, their personalities that we're imprinted with. So it's really interesting when I ask people, tell me about your mother or your father, they'll usually talk about what their parents did to them, or what they said to them, or how they treated them. And they have a very difficult time talking about them in any other way other than mother or father. So that's the first thing that I'd ask you to do, is to really think about your parents as people, and to understand that these are the models that you took on. And so something in what you learned about being a man, being a woman, or what it is to be the gender that you are, something about that is sticking in your craw. What we learn when we're having difficulties in the external world, with our jobs, for example, with making money, with manifesting out in the outside world. This is related to the parent who can be defined as being more masculine. And so think about what it was that you learned from the model of your mother or your father, or perhaps both of them. It depends on how old you are, because over time we get to play out the roles of both of our parents. If you have a rejection of one of your parents, you may also have a rejection of what you learned from them. Or you may be taking the side of the other parent and refusing to become like the one that you're rejecting. But in one way or another, the inability to actually manifest or to pull together your life, or the fact of self-sabotage, is extremely common. What we hear in pop psychology is we're not afraid of failure, we're actually afraid of success. And that's partially true, but it's not really that we're afraid of success so much as it perhaps hasn't been modeled to us, or if it has been modeled to us, it wasn't by the parent that we necessarily liked or wanted to be like. And so we can have success linked up in our programming with a whole series of other attributes that we don't want to manifest. And so we won't manifest success. There's a lot of different permutations and combinations of this, of course, but I think the most important thing is to not think there's something wrong with you, but rather to simply sit and to go back into an observation and an understanding of what it is that you learned, of what the stories of your parents were and their parents even. Because when you really look at the stories that created you, you can often see where your present behavior and dilemmas come from. So it's nothing, it's not a malevolent deity or even necessarily spells that are put on you or a deep character fault in yourself. It's actually just most likely programming that you learned. And because you learned it, and it really isn't who you are, it is something that can be undone, unlearned. Remember above all that your essence is the essence of Source. Everything else is just what you learned. And so anything that's not love is not who you are. It's what you learned. And with that, I suppose I'll end this episode, this question. And if you have anything to add to this or any other questions that arise from this, please don't hesitate to write them in the comment section. If you want to have slightly more personal and deeper teaching and visualizations, I invite you to subscribe to the what they call the premium content, which you can find also on this website. So be well, and until next time.